Hi, every Sunday. Happy Sunday. 1,578 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered, a code red, which means internal, which means his command involved in all of this, um, murdered him for being a whistleblower on Fort Bliss. That's borderland. That is El Paso, Texas, right there with their Siamese sisters city, Juarez, Mexico. That's the U.S. Mexico border. And we know that the new border czar, Tom Homan, he has pinpointed El Paso for the nucleus, the epicenter of criminal trafficking. And we know that Richard was a whistleblower for that trafficking. And, we have 4 years. We know that DES, Thomas Kane, um, knew that there was absolutely horror going on Fort Bliss with, you have hundreds of thousands of children. And where are they? They're unaccounted for. They were unaccompanied. They were unaccompanied children. That is like the worst nightmare. The worst. The worst. Who cares for them? Because children need a lot of care, right? Children need a lot of care. Let me make sure that I'm on. And so we know that they are, mostly dead now. Why? And we have all this evidence, 4 years of this sex cult, vile and vulgar. They stop at nothing. Nothing satisfies them, right? Nothing satisfies them. If you give a mouse a cookie, right? That's a sex cult. Nothing satisfies them, and they just create a harsher, more uglier set of criminal activities every step of the way. Every step of the way. And so the criminal group that is absolutely connected to the murder of our son Richard, the whistleblower witness on Fort Bliss to criminal trafficking and the fraud. And because the criminal trafficking is a lot of stuff. It's the equipment, it's the weapons, it's the ammunition, it's the children, it's the humans, it is the drugs, it is the child corn, it is all of this. So it's just huge. That same group is definitely very very connected with the sex cult. Okay. And I'm talking about just the worst of the worst. Just the worst of the worst. So, and I, just to be on the safe side, I just say they're up to no good. Up to no good. No good. And Richard was telling us it was very, very bad. So, all right. So we have 1,578 days that we have been, in this battle, this search. Of course, we have the official declaration of death that came to us after we drove them to give them the declaration of death to us. Because of the evidence was overwhelming and everything that we have done. We are part of the SB4 case, which is a huge immigration case. Illegal, it's suing District Attorney Bill Hicks, who's not a district attorney at all. He's a usurper. And we've exposed that's why we were part of the case, because he did not sign the anti-bribe line of the statement of officer before he took the oath of office, and that is required by the Texas Constitution. And of course, you have to let the people know, especially if you're appointed like him, a recess appointment like him. You have to sign an anti-bribe statement before you take the oath of office. And he didn't do that. And so that means that what he, what precedes that, he's a usurper. It's all bunked. It's all um, not legitimate. Okay, it's not legitimate. You got to follow the laws, right? Especially when you're a prosecutor, especially when you're a lawyer, you have to follow the laws. And so we're part of that SB4 case. We expose the uh, Bill Hicks, the usurper, and we exposed the chief medical examiner, who's illegal, right? And who approved him? Uh, Judge Veronica Escobar, right? She was the county judge at the time. Now, you have to understand that that's really like a mayor role, like a county mayor, because she doesn't have a law degree. She's not a real judge, but she's, it's like honorary title for that position. And she did have a big role, especially when it comes to approving. And what does it mean by approving? You have to have that approval for the county to pay Mario Raskin Ortiz the $430,000 salary that he now has, right? It might be more than that now. So it's a lot of money. He has a huge salary. It's like over 700% more than anybody else. But that's because it is like a judge. It's a judicial position, and you really should have like a legal, at least a paralegal legal degree, and then a medical degree to hold that position. It's because um, you testify in a court, and criminal cases, especially um, capital cases, the cause and manner of death. And so it's a very important role. And here we have an illegal um, in this role, and that was approved by Veronica Escobar, right? So we've done that. And then, of course, the real big one, and this is, why am I talking about this? Because there is seismic shaking going on in the judicial community there in El Paso. We are hearing that the courthouse is in seismic shaking because Team Find Richard Halliday exposed yet another whopper, a big one. And that is that the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court has been working without authority because the judges are not legitimate. They, and how can I explain this to everyone so that they can understand? This court has full jurisdiction of El Paso County. That makes it very powerful because they control then the criminal cases. They control the criminal investigations. Okay, that is super powerful because you can call them there. Hey, don't issue those warrants. Don't issue those subpoenas for that. Don't let that case go forward, or make this case go forward. Make it go forward. Let's weaponize it. They can. They have a lot of power, and because of that, the Texas Constitution, which is for the people, by the people, of the people, that the Texas Constitution loves the people, says, hold on, you full jurisdiction court. You cannot just operate like that. The people have to have a say so, and it's called an election. It's called an election. And that is the oversight of such a powerful court. So that panel of judges that sit on the criminal law magistrate court in El Paso right now are appointed. What are you talking about? They're appointed. They're appointed. Wait a minute. I thought that we have power, that the Texas Constitution gives us power, that a court like this with so much power, we have to do oversight. We, the people, need to elect these individuals. We need to be able to see what they're all about. We need to know their names. We need to know their past history. It's not going to be like a Bill Hicks whose past history, you just want to go, it's terrible. He's just a mess. He's just a total mess. Nobody would elect him because he's such a mess, right? And so now we have a panel of judges that have not been scrutinized through an election. The people have not been able to know their names, know what their background is, know how they've handled their money, know how they handled cases, right? What kind of lawyers are they? What kind of individuals are these? Well, how have they managed their own household? They have not been through the election process, which can be very brutal. But that is the oversight that the people have, that the Texas Constitution has allowed in order to get the best qualified people in there and have those best qualified people in there have to answer to the people of the county of El Paso. They have to rely on the people and answer to the people. And when they rule, they have to, it makes them more fair, more just, right? Because the people now know their name. And since 2015, that council of judges who appoints these individuals to the criminal law magistrate court have been committing a crime. And that's called election fraud, the denial of election to the people of El Paso. And, it is not giving honest service, right? Not giving honest service to the people of El Paso. And, there's many more denying the civil rights, all kinds of, there's so many. I wish I was a fancy lawyer that could explain how egregious this is. It's kind of like my children, they all know how to play a musical instrument, right? They all know how to read music. They all know how to play, be it a violin, be a piano. They know how to sing because they know how to read music. And I don't know how to read music, but I would listen to them and they would be playing. And I said, "Oh no, you have to play that over again." And they'd be like, "Mom, you don't know how to read music. How do you know?" And I said, "Because I have ears. I have ears, and I know how it's supposed to sound. I know how the feeling has to be behind it because music is, there has to be, you can't just clank away, right? There has to be a love in it, right? There has to be a tone in it, right? And so, uh, I have ears, and so I might not have this fancy legal degree, but I know that this is egregious, that these individuals have been appointed by the Council of Judges, which includes Judge Medrano. Not my words, but what I'm hearing, the most corrupt judge in El Paso history, right? The most corrupt judge in El Paso history, Judge Sam Medrano. That's what I'm hearing. And he sits on the Council of Judges. And he has committed a crime, a huge crime, by appointing the likes of, like, let's take an example, Penny Hamilton to this court. I don't think anybody would vote for Penny Hamilton. And she's like, retired now. She just retired, I think, 2 years ago, and she's in there with the usurper Bill Hicks as the third. I mean, she's up to no good, and she is um, a part of Richard's case, a huge part of Richard's case, and yet, and she also is the one that magistrated Patrick Crucius, which can you believe it that that Joe Spencer is not even, because we notified him of this violation, these violations, that Patrick Crucius was magistrated, was arraigned by an unqualified individual that had no authority under the Texas Constitution, that it is a breach of the Texas Constitution, a violation of the Texas Constitution. And that it's so solid, it's so tight, that is why there is a seismic shaking going on in the courthouse, because Judge Medrano might be one of those on the Council of Judges that appointed and denied the people of El Paso County the right to vote for their judges. He might be one of those, but it was Veronica Escobar, and of course, Samaniego, right? Now it's Samaniego, the county mayor judge, that approves the paychecks, the salaries of these individuals. And it is their job to make sure that there's no fraud. They have to approve the money, right? That there is no fraud. And yet, here we are, there is huge fraud and huge violations of the Texas Constitution. And so, and I can tell you right now that Veronica Escobar has been up to no good in our son's case. Absolutely no good. Criminal. Absolutely criminal in our son's case. And so if her character is so bad, her lack thereof, her very dark and hard-hearted and criminal character shows up in Richard's case, then she's approving these individuals with no authority to a court for years, right? So, and it's important to know this because Samaniego, I hope I'm saying his name right, he's doing the same thing. So there is, okay, so we know there's a seismic shaking. Why? Well, sources. Why? Because we have reports in. Why? Because we have open records and we received open records on Penny Hamilton. And, it's very, very revealing. There are senior judges in big trouble. Big trouble. And, what they have been doing, just in Patrick Crucius' case, here he is, severe autistic, okay, verbal problems, delays, 3 years old, hitting his head on the sidewalk, being in a classroom, having to sit in a special spot away from everyone else in special education. Just to be in special education, you have to be pretty special. And then in special education, to be separated once again into a special area because you're getting so frustrated. So you have delay speech and you have such a frustration. And, neighbors clearly saying that, yeah, he has autism. He was hitting his head on the sidewalk and he's just, a mess, right? Failed kindergarten. That's Joe Spencer. Joe Spencer is, yeah, he failed kindergarten. He has delayed speech and he was in special education and all this. And then he goes up to the federal judge that gives Patrick Crucius 9,000 years of prison sentence. And he's like, oh, yeah, he takes responsibility. He knows exactly what happened. And, and yet, behind the scenes, in audio recordings, he's like, oh no, he doesn't know what's going on. I mean, so he's taking advantage of a special needs individual. This orchestrated group of a Walmart mass shooting is taking advantage, trying to protect the real shooters with a special needs individual. And, did they groom him to go in there with? And, we're hearing that he went and surrendered himself too early. They sent him away, and then he came back and surrendered himself a second time to the Hispanic police officer. And let me tell you, um, when you're, uh, when you have your mental health condition is so severe like this, y- you, we need, I would say, that he had no clue. But we need a whole team of medical uh, individuals surrounding him to let us know what his real condition is. And Joe Spencer failed to do that. And within minutes with me just watching him on a video, not even meeting with him, I was like, geez, he has autism. And yeah, okay, granted, I'm a teacher and I've seen a lot of it and I've been in the classrooms with it. I was did a round of special education. So, and right now, our autism rates are pretty high. You can't be in education and not have to address the needs of autistic individuals. So, I'm just trained to see where I need to go to meet these children to teach them, right? Where are they, and how can I um, address them um, to meet their needs? This is, so of course I saw it right away that he was autistic. But when you're meeting with him, and one of the first things that any defense lawyer does is determine their mental state, right? Determine their mental state. I mean, one of the greatest ways to get people out of the death penalty is to say that they're not mentally fit, right? That they didn't know what they were doing. And here he is pleading him out because I don't think they wanted to look at the evidence. I think they were just worried about financial gain all the way across. And also, Richard's truth is hiding under the Walmart case. And this was a huge cover up. I believe it was a huge cover up. So thank you, Martha, for coming on. Continued prayers, justice for Richard. Find Richard Halliday. Thank you so much. And um, we have confirmation. I said it last night that the 3 and 4-star generals that were up to no good since 2020 have been reported to the new administration team, the transition team. So that is really good news. And now we're hearing, and also because our open records are being answered. We got so many open records, y'all. They just dumped them on us because we've been asking for open records for so long, and they violated our rights to transparency, absolutely, in so many ways. And we have we filed so many, we did get some of them. And some of them are not, you wouldn't believe um, uh, what it all reveals. And that's why they don't like you getting open records, because it really reveals a lot of things that you just can't even believe. So, but now I think with this new administration coming in, they they feel the accountability coming, and they should. They absolutely should, because the word that we're getting out is that accountability is coming, and a lot of keep up what you're doing, keep up what you're doing, but we're coming. The Calvary's coming, and now we're seeing that and also sources are telling us that the seismic activity in El Paso is starting there in the courthouse, because the El Paso criminal law magistrate court violations of the Texas Constitution by having appointed judges when they're supposed to have elected judges on that court is very absolutely tight and clear cut. And so, so many thousands of people's rights have been violated. Patrick Crucius, one of them. And, that's really, really important for the message to get out. If you know people that have been wronged by this court, lot of the immigration stuff coming through. But I just wanted to let you know that it was the Council of Judges that did this. They absolutely have a duty to follow the Texas Constitution, and they didn't. And of course, the El Paso county judge, which is like a mayor, so you have to really understand that Veronica Escobar does not have a law degree, and yet she was a tool, um, or she was complicit in all of this, because she approved of these appointments and made it legitimate. How did she make it legitimate? She gave them a paycheck. She gave them a paycheck. And so that is very, very big news for people that have been wronged, because they absolutely have a case against the MAG court in El Paso. And that is, I hope that makes people happy that have been wronged, because I think that this panel of judges were up to no good. They were placed in there for a separate purpose. And of course, Penny Hamilton is really who I'm talking about. She's up to no good, and now she's continuing that. So yeah, that is really in Veronica Escobar. So we are working very, very hard behind the scenes. That's my message to you. My message to you is that El Paso is in a seismic shakeup, um, really identifying who the criminals are. And, 4 years of doing this, we can absolutely pinpoint who the criminals are, and what's going to happen there in El Paso. I think just the people getting back the right to vote in their judges is going to be such an honor for them. And I hope that you pass this along, um, to let them know what an honor it is to have that, to be given that kind of power to hold these judges accountable that rule over our families and the community there. So, yeah, thank you so much. And there's so much going on that stay tuned, and I will be back tomorrow again. Thank you so much.